Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Ritual and Rising podcast. I'm your host, Eloise Tompkins, and I am a money mindset coach and psychologist. And I love to help women to heal their nervous system response to money. And every time I say that, I'm like, gosh, that sounds so unsexy. Like, wouldn't it be so much cooler if I said, I will give you affirmations that you can stand in front of your mirror and repeat? And oh my goodness, they'll sound so amazing and it'll feel so nice. Um, but it won't actually change anything for you. And you'll just go back to repeating the same old patterns, but won't know why. Um, I'm on a massive rant today, which is exactly what I want to talk about with you because I see this so often and it drives me absolutely bananas. And I thought, you know what? I need to share this with you because, well, I hope it helps you. I hope it helps you to understand why you have tried a whole bunch of these things before, and maybe they haven't worked in the way that you have hoped. And I was reminded of this recently because one of my clients said, Ellie, I'm a part of, because a lot of my clients, they'll work with me one-on-one and for the money mindset work and the identity work and the nervous system subconscious rewiring. But they'll also be working with a business coach alongside, right? Because I don't do the strategy. That's not my wheelhouse. Um, the strategy does become easier to implement through working together because the work that we do really clears up a lot of those mental blocks. It clears up that overthinking. It allows space in the mind and the body so that instead of getting caught up in all of those racing thoughts and overwhelm, it reduces that and a lot of the time just makes your mind feel a lot clearer so that you can actually implement the things that are being taught in the business coaching programs that people are a part of. But one of my clients came to me the other day and was like, Ellie, I asked my business coach a question and I was given some pretty generic advice. And I see this quite a lot, to be fair. And my client was really frustrated because she's like, I've tried all of this before and I've asked this question and no one in all of the business coaching that I have gone to has done anything different. They've just kept repeating the same thing. And so my client's like, well, what do I do with that? Like, I don't know what to do. And she was feeling super frustrated because she's like, I know the advice that they're giving me. It doesn't feel like it's manageable for me to do right now. And what I realized is none of the coaches have ever asked, what is getting in the way of you implementing that advice? What is holding you back from implementing? What is the point at which you feel that you can't do those things and they're not going to work for you in your business? No one has ever asked her that. No one has ever asked either, like, how does your body feel when you are going to do those things? How does it feel in your um, nervous system? And no one asks that. They just give information. They give journaling prompts, and they'll say, hey, you can rewire your relationship with money. Here's some journaling prompts. And then you get awareness, you get knowledge, you get information. Which, don't get me wrong, like that can be really helpful, and I'm not saying that these are bad things, but it's not taking it to that deeper layer. And then what I find is women blame themselves. And that's where I get angry because it is not a blame game in terms of us needing to blame ourselves. It is data. It is data. It's like, well, okay, these are the tools that I've been given, but actually they're not allowing me to go to that deeper level. And you don't know that, right? Because nobody has shown us that deeper level. No one, our parents didn't show us. Society doesn't show us. Like we get told, don't go there. We actively get encouraged to not listen to our nervous system, to not listen to our bodies, to just do the practical things. And if we can do the practical things, then happy days. Awesome. So that's what we learn. We learn, well, practicality, doing the practical thing is going to get me a result. And so we keep chasing the practical thing again and again and again and again. And then we wonder, well, why is this practical thing not working for me? What am I doing wrong? And because it goes against what we've learned about how the world works, when we try and do the practical thing, we're like, well, it's not working for me. It must be me. It must be my fault. And these aren't usually always conscious beliefs that we have, but usually we have some awareness that we're the common denominator, right? Like we kind of see it in that way. I'm the common denominator. I'm not able to implement that strategy, or I'm not able to do this thing. I'm not able to reach those 20K months. Therefore, it must be me because other people are doing it. I'm not, must be me. No, it's your nervous system. And your nervous system is wired to want to do more things. And I see this. I actually, I remember one client working as a psychologist, and they would love to journal, love to write things down. And I remember that they would always come in with their journal, and this wasn't uncommon. I've had a lot of clients that would do this. And it was a really helpful way for them to actually stay disconnected from themselves. Even though it looked like they were really reflecting and that they were doing a lot of deep work because they were having some really powerful awareness breakthroughs and insights. I remember there was one time I said to them, I'm like, so there's a lot of awareness and insight. And have you actually felt the words that you're writing down? Like, you say that you felt grief, you say that you felt sadness. Do you let yourself feel those things? What would it be like if you felt those things? And they were like, huh, no one's ever asked me that before. And no, they had not let themselves feel the feelings. And they were terrified of the feelings. And that is prime example of what we do. We think that because we know that we're feeling something, or that because we're frustrated, or that things aren't working the way that we want, that because we know that, that's enough. That's not how our nervous system works. Our nervous system doesn't respond to that kind of logic. It'd be amazing if it did, but it doesn't. It just doesn't work that way. And that is why a lot of us really love doing the things, because it feels like we're doing something. It feels like we're being productive. And gosh, as women, we love to feel like we're being productive. And being productive actually is going to be the thing that stops you from reaching your goals. It's wild, right? Like, how crazy does that sound? I know it sounds crazy, but if it worked and being productive got you to where you want to be, then all of the hours that you put into your business, you would be a fucking millionaire by now, maybe a bajillionaire, who knows? But it doesn't work. And you can keep trying to do the things that society has conditioned you to do, or you can look for a different way. And I already know that you've done that because, the women who come to me, who find me, who enter my world, they have tried it all. They have tried mindset work. They have tried NLP. They have done what are those, the RTT or RRTs or rapid something somethings program breakthrough thingies. They have done spiritual coaching. They've done hypnosis. They have done EFT tapping. They've done all of the stuff, right? And I'm not saying that those things are bad. Let me just be clear on that. I'm not saying that those things are bad, or that people shouldn't do those things, or that they're not helpful. They absolutely are, otherwise they wouldn't exist. But there is also, for a lot of us, some deeper stuff at play. And that's very normal. It doesn't mean that there's anything broken or anything wrong. It just means that we're human. We all have our stuff, right? And we're all going to have kinks in our nervous system, and they're going to look different for all of us, that are going to impact our income, that are all going to impact our ability to make money. And the reason for that is because as women, society, conditioning, really wanting us to be productive, wanting us to be caretakers and to help other people at all costs, all of those things, they amalgamate, they come together, And we don't even realize that they're there because it's just been a part of who we are for so long, which is why I talk a lot about identity, and I talk a lot about how if we want to create out the goals that we have logically for ourselves, we need to kind of reconstruct our identity. And it doesn't mean changing who we are. It doesn't mean changing our foundations. It just means letting go of some of that stuff that's actually not helping us, that we thought was helping us, but actually isn't. And that can be confronting sometimes, because sometimes opening our eyes up to what we thought was helpful but is holding us back can feel like a slap in the face, because we're like, oh, well, why did I get stuck doing that for so many years? And I get it. It's really frustrating. It's kind of like you have the um, light shone on the problem and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I not know that this was here? Well, you didn't know. And now you're building up some of that awareness. And then it becomes a choice. Do I want to explore that more, or do I want to keep doing things the same way? And that's going to be a you decision, right? Like, how do you want your life and your business and your impact to unfold? But what I know about a lot of the women that I work with is that they do want to make a massive impact on the world. And they can't do that by continuing to exist in old conditioning. They can't do that by writing in their journal every morning and saying, yeah, this is the month that I'm going to have my 20K months. It comes from being willing to sit in the discomfort of change and doing something different. It comes from being able to recognize that even though affirmations might feel productive, the productiveness is actually going to hold you back. And you don't have to actually work hard to reach your goals. I mean, yes, you have to work, but you don't have to work as hard as you have been, because your nervous system is just going to get burnt out and overrun. And when your nervous system's burnt out and overrun, you're not going to get anything done, because like it's frazzled, it's fried, like it's kind of just way too much for your nervous system to handle. And that just doesn't sound fun. So what I'm really hoping that you take away, and what I really want to have you understand, is that it is not about strategy, affirmations, doing more, because those things don't work. Those things can absolutely supplement. And if you're not aligned, if your identity isn't aligned, if your nervous system is not aligned, then it doesn't really matter what you do or say, because they're operating on, two different levels. I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's kind of like you might be in the same household, but your logical mind is upstairs and your nervous system is downstairs. And there's no stairs connecting the two. So you can't communicate between the lower level and the upper level. And so your logical brain is trying to say, yeah, I want to make more money. And your nervous system's like, nah, we're good. I'm so fine down here. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm just going to stay right here. Your logical mind's like, yeah, but I want to go on a holiday and I want to have 7 figures and I want to buy a yacht. And your nervous system's like, can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. Doesn't feel like that's anything to do with me. And we'll just continue to rein your conscious mind back in. So through being able to regulate our nervous system, which is why I've got the Regulate to Riches program, we build those steps into the house. So those two parts can communicate with each other, and they're not just operating from disconnect. They feel connected, they feel aligned. It doesn't feel like they're not talking to each other, because at the moment they're not. And when they're not talking to each other, that's where your goals become disaligned, unaligned. They're not aligned. That was so inarticulate. Hopefully you get the gist of what I was trying to say with that. So that is why I harp on about the nervous system. And you can change it. You can build that set of stairs, you can regulate your nervous system, and then when they're able to communicate, there's more leeway in terms of the goals that you are able to create for yourself. And that is the work that is the most important. So if you have ever felt like, what's wrong with me? Or why can't I just reach my goals? It's probably because your nervous system is not regulated. And if you want to learn more how to regulate it, go check out Regulate to Riches, because seriously, that is the foundational point. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you know anyone that would benefit from learning more about how to shift their relationship with money, even though all of the things that they've tried haven't really stuck, flick them the link to the podcast, because the more ears that get on board with this podcast, the more people that I can help, the bigger impact that I have, the more women that are able to make more money because their nervous systems are regulated. So give it a share. And if you did like this episode, then please leave a review as well. Alrighty, that's all from me for this week, and I can't wait to chat to you all again next week. Until then, take care.